But when you're trying to do something artistic, man, yeah, it helps to kind of go out there and make yourself a bit uncomfortable. And I wanted to kind of get back to that place where I'm like, I just love film so much. And that's what this is. Like, being out here, man, I love this like I loved it back in the day. Because I know I've got 2 bites left. There's this and the next one. And I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can. But then I'm going to step back because it's like, these cats need places at the fucking trough. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing it long enough. I've had many bites of the apple, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. For me, it always did. I loved them all, but some cats will tell you that shit didn't pan out. But I've had enough opportunities, and now I've got other places to go talk on the free podcast or just talking on stage and shit. So for me, I felt like push back and appreciate it. Bookend the career. Let it be finished, as opposed to, you know, oh, he died and he used to make good movies, and then he made Cop Out and a bunch of them, and that was that. Like, essentially, just go out as strong as I came in, you know, just pushing at the edge of the envelope and trying to tell a different story or original story and not just tell a Kevin Smith story. So that's kind of like where I am, and it's an awesome time. Like, knowing that the next one is amazing. Because I look up at my shelf in my office, and I got every movie I ever made on this one shelf. And it's nice. Like, it's impressive to me. To the kid who, like, really wanted to, saw Slacker and said, I want to be a filmmaker. I look up at that shelf and I'm just like, you did it. Good job, good job. And I look up there and there's not a single one that makes me wince. Maybe Cop Out I come close on, and Jersey Girl sometimes. But I look at them and I'm just like, nope, I know why I did that. I know why I did that. Oh, that was important. I'm so glad I did this. This made me a better person. This is where I met my wife. Everything. All the things that, like, you look up at it and feel no shame about. I can do that. I'm so afraid that if I stick around, one day I'm going to look up there and be like, oh, that's the one I did to pay off a mortgage. And that's the one I did because my kid wanted a car and a pony. And that's the one I did because, well, I like hockey and somebody had to make Mighty Ducks 9. You know, like, I don't want to be that guy. That's not why I got into it. I got into it to tell these dopey stories that, you know, that were kind of formed from living in my parents' house when I was a kid. And once those stories were out, I probably should have just pushed back from the table then. But again, you get into this job and somebody's like, you want to make pretend for a living? We'll give you 6 stupid amounts of money to do it. You know, you say, yeah, fuck yeah. But then, I don't know, maybe it's a Catholic thing or maybe it's just a calling to do something else. But, like, for me, I was just like, I know it's stupid to say I don't want to do this anymore, but it just feels ridiculous. It's too fucking expensive. Like, it's become such a cost-prohibitive art form. And it's scary. I mean, distribution and exhibition has to completely change in the next 10 years because nobody will ever afford to make a movie anymore except studios. It's just too difficult. I've been doing it nearly 20 fucking years. Henry's been around as long as I'm, he'll tell you. I mean, Henry's right. There are cats that Quentin came up with. They ain't working anymore. And that's because a lot of people in positions of power are just like, nobody cares about what you have to say, and that's fucking bullshit. Everybody knows. There ain't a person in this room can pick up a camera, tell a story, and it will be interesting. It's not like, oh, it's crap, because it's not. Every person has an interesting story to tell. That's the beauty of storytelling in general, and even independent cinema to a lesser degree. The reason it works, the reason it started, the reason it continues, and it goes like this. Sometimes it's more popular than others, more prevalent, sometimes not as much. But the reason it exists in a world of comic book movies and big bombastic thrillers and shit is because everybody can tell a story, and everybody's story is interesting. That's always the most special effect you can take out into this world. The only thing that you have going for you is only you can tell your story, and your perspective is unique. There's so many of us here, man, but everybody is kind of the same, but at the same time, we're all tweaked just a little bit differently, and that's what makes us all kind of interesting. So in that point, indie film allows people to, like, tell this fucking dopey story that on paper, financially speaking, people will be like, nobody cares about that kind of thing, but everybody does, man. Everybody does. 20 years, my career's proven nothing but this. People give a shit about stupid, dopey things that happen to you that you put out there in the world. People just want to see themselves reflected. You know, they'll come to a house like this to watch Transformers because that's fun. That's entertaining. Eat popcorn and watch fucking robots beat the shit out of each other. But they'll come back to a smaller place like this if you can hit them here and grab them here. Harvey Weinstein said to us in the very beginning, he said, the movie does not begin and end when the lights go down and come up. He's going, if you're a really good filmmaker, you're reaching those people, and the movie's beginning long before they even think about coming to the theater. And if you're a really great filmmaker, he says, you got them for years after they've left. He's going, anybody can turn the lights off and put a picture up on a screen and catch people's attention for 90 minutes. But what happens before and after that screening, that's what makes the difference. That's what makes you a filmmaker. And for the last 20 years, that's what I tried to do, was kind of try to make it so that when the lights went up, people weren't like, fuck you, boo, you know, and just try to stay engaged with them. But it's expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive, and I get so sad because it's like, if I was trying to make Clerks today, I would just feel like I can't do it. Like, even if I find the money to make it, which now in this day and age would be way cheaper with cameras like that and shit, they pull Clerks off for less than $5,000, probably pull it off for less than $1,000 at this point. But who's going to show it? Where's it going to go? You know what I'm saying? It's too crowded, too expensive. The marketing of a movie is ridiculous at this point. So a filmmaker who's telling their own personal story, a guy makes a movie about kids in a convenience store, you can't fucking hope to connect because I can't put a TV spot on and shit like that. Now we're in the age of the internet where at the same time you can be in everybody's home at once. Everybody's got a computer and you just put your shit up online. But we all want this experience. You know, everyone wants to see the lights go down and sit there with an audience, and it is wonderful and it's fucking religious. But there's a trade-off sometimes in life. If you want to talk about things that are close to your heart that may not matter to everybody, you can, but you just can't expect a large audience. Sometimes when you talk truth or you open up your heart, the room goes from this to this, because not everyone's comfortable with fucking like talking about your feelings and what you feel about this and where your position is in life. Most people just kind of head down, keep moving forward and stuff. The ones that are into that, they will come back again and again, and that's how you build your audience. It's just by being candid and honest in your work. I mean, I do it in my work, and then I do it after the work as well, where I just stand up there and talk. But as long as you're being candid and honest in the work, and you're showing them something that they can't express for themselves, you'll work forever. It doesn't matter fucking how much marketing costs. That's it. That's all they want out there is people that can do something that other people can't do for themselves. My kid has started writing lately. And I started reading it, and I never want to get involved, you know, because it's like, that's a delicate thing. Like, my parents were never involved with me as a writer. I just started writing. And, you know, I think if they had been involved or if they paid attention or if they were, you know, God forbid, gave me notes, probably would have chased me in the other direction. So I never wanted to, like, tell Harley, like, you should do this, you should do it. But she is the child of two writers. So I always suspected there might be a part of her that might be good with a turn of phrase. More than that, though, she's empathetic. She's a real humanist, and that's special. Look, anybody can write cleverly. What matters is if you can connect with people emotionally, and she does. Like, even at a young age 11 and shit. And so she's very, like, you know, she's an 11-year-old girl, so she could be very emo and shit. Everything when the simple, like, pains that most people have get dialed up to 11 with an emo 11-year-old tween girl whose father is me, because I'm a very emotional person as well. And I keep telling her, I was just like, don't get embarrassed. Like, I know it sucks when you break down over shit where you don't understand why you're fucking crying over this and why other people don't see it the way you do, or, you know, your friends say something that affects you in this way and you don't quite understand it, and it you know, a lot of people will tell you to put that shit aside, don't do that. I said, but you gotta absorb it and feel it, and because that's what's gonna make you a good writer. That's what's gonna make you special. The moment you can put fingers on keys and words come up on a digital piece of paper that somebody, a total fucking stranger, can read and be like, oh my God, that's the way I feel. You will be useful forever. You will work forever. If you can express for people what they can't express for themselves, or if you can say something they've always wanted to say but never knew it until that moment, they'll welcome you forever till the end of time, like a prophet in some ways. So it's nice. It's very, very cool.
I think
Is that
you're
it?
done with it.
There you go.
I get just one more. I wanted to ask, this is about your earlier movies, like in Clerks and Chasing Amy. You have repetitive characters.
Yes.
As far as like, and not in the story, but that they talk about, like Julie Dwyer.
Julie Dwyer.
And is that like personal experiences, or that was just things that you made up and then you just carried them on?
I remember when I was a kid hearing about a girl who died in the YMCA pool, and that always captured my imagination, because I'm like, I used to go to the YMCA, and never once did I think I'd jump in the pool and not come out. So from a young age, that always stuck with me. And then when I was writing Clerks, I kind of threw a shout out to that. And I remember I met people at a screening once in Jersey. They were like, we knew that girl who did die in the YMCA pool. I was like, get out of here, man. I read about that when I was a kid in the paper. But shit like that was just meant to kind of, I'm a big comic book fan, and in comic books, you know, you'll be reading Spider-Man, they'll reference Captain America even if he's not in it, and you're like, that's so fucking badass. Same thing here. John Hughes did it a lot in his flicks. Like, all his flicks were set in or around Shermer, Illinois. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, to interconnect them all like that, to make it one kind of long story. So that was what those little references were out there, just to kind of ground it in reality, so that if they reference Julie Dwyer here 2 movies later. They still, she's a part of that world even though you never see her and stuff. Just they've always made it feel a little bit more real. 'Cause you always hear about those people that you don't necessarily hang out with through friends or something like that. It's a local legend, so to speak.
I just thought that was neat in Chasing Amy when the girl actually was like, oh, I knew that girl. And, I was like, wow,
I dig that. So
that's a nice, you know what I'm saying? It was nice economy, you know what I'm saying, in the script, how you just carried over.
Totally. I always liked it because it's one of those things that it's a payoff, right? It's a benefit if you're a hardcore fan. Like if you liked Clerks a lot, you know it in and out and shit, you're watching Chasing Amy and that scene happens, you're like, oh shit, that's Julie Dwyer. It's an inside joke. Like I always like it in our comedies where you'll go out in the world and screen it, and you can hear the View Askew fans in the room because they're laughing at something that like 400 other people don't get or something like that, like an inside joke. I guess it was just kind of a series of inside jokes. Okay. You good?
Yeah.
You pulling me out?
Yeah.
We appreciate it. No worries, man. Go cut away.